SecurityNet is a federation of integrators founded in 1993. Launched with 4 members, the network today includes leaders from 19 companies totaling around 60 regional offices and 1,400 professionals. With a focus on commercial, industrial, and government security deployments, the organization is dedicated to sharing best practices. I recently spoke with 6 SecurityNet members to find out how their unity is helping them succeed and navigate challenges such as the supply chain. Be sure to subscribe to SSI's YouTube channel. Hit the like button, share, and leave comments. Or subscribe to SSI's Security Speaking podcast on Apple and Spotify. And leave us a review. Thank you. But let's jump right in. SecurityNet 2022. And I'd like to go around real quick for the video and just introduce yourself, give your title, your company name, and just a little bit about your company, its markets, location you're founded, that kind of thing. So who wants to go first?
There we go. John, you go.
Oh.
You're the longest standing member, so you go.
Thank you. Thanks, Craig. Good morning, Scott, or afternoon, as I guess it would be where you are. So I'm John Crummy. I'm the chairman and CEO of Camdex Security Corporation with headquarters in Kansas City. Our company is celebrating 65 years of business in the security industry as of next month. As Craig alluded, I have the distinct honor now of serving in SecurityNet, the longest of anyone that's currently a part of SecurityNet. And as Chelsea said, we will celebrate 30 years. This is our 30th year in business as SecurityNet. We also, as Camdex Security Corporation, are very active in the healthcare, the government sector, manufacturing, and education sectors as well.
Great, thank you. Let's jump over to, now I can see your names, I couldn't before. Let's go with Roy.
Thank you, Scott. Roy Stephenson, Director of Business Development with Utah Yamas Controls. We've been around about 30 years, about the same time as SecurityNet. I'm the newest SecurityNet member on the call, actually joined in 2000. It's a great organization. We're really excited by the opportunities that it presents to us. It really is kind of, it's become a family. These are all my friends, and I learn so much every time we get on the phone or we get together and meet in person. So it's quite amazing. We have about 100 employees. We have 4 offices: Salt Lake City, Utah, one in St. George. That's where I'm calling from right now. I'm in our St. George office. We have one in Boise, Idaho, and Reno as well. So we do about $24 million a year. We're a little different than some of the SecurityNet dealers in that we also do HVAC controls and DDC controls. That's about half of our business, but we do true integration with DDC and HVAC controls, so with security.
Thank you, Roy. Craig?
Yeah, Craig Jarrett, Netronics Integration. We started in 2007. We are headquartered in California, but also have offices in Colorado, Texas, Maryland, the UK, India, and Ireland. Roughly 200 employees.
Great. Bill?
Hi, Scott. I'm Bill Hogan with DA Central. DA Central's been systems integrator since the early 70s. We're based in Metro Detroit with an office in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I joined the business 9 years ago. I'm president and CEO of DA. We've got about 50 employees. Our key verticals are really critical infrastructure, industrial manufacturing, but also a lot of the other key verticals that the SecurityNet supports, whether it's healthcare, higher education, financial institutions, and so forth. So we've been proud to be a member of SecurityNet for 25 plus years.
Wow, thank you. Dave?
Hi, Dave Sweeney here with Advantech. Advantech has been in business since 1990. And we recently, about a year and a half ago, joined the Cook and Boardman group to anchor down the Mid-Atlantic region for their integrated security systems division. We're headquartered here in Dover, Delaware, serving probably a 90-mile radius of Dover, which puts us on the Delmarva Peninsula, with customers in the Washington, D.C. space, the Baltimore space, and the Philadelphia space. As of today, our company is comprised of 65 team members, and we kind of serve all kinds of different vertical markets to include, state and local government, education, both in the K through 12 and higher education, along with critical infrastructure and detention and corrections, to just kind of name a few.
Thank you, Barry. We got audio for you.
Hey, Scott, man, it is absolutely great to see you, partner. You look like you're you look like you're a real, like you got a really TV show going on right there. It looks very professional, but it's great to see you. My iPad overheated right when we started, so I had to switch to my phone. I'm currently on college tours with my daughter, but thank you for doing this, by the way, Scott. And like I said, it's wonderful to see you. So, Scott, I'm the CEO and founder of Vision Security Technologies. We're based out of Birmingham, Alabama. We cover Alabama, Tennessee, Mississippi. We about 15 million in revenue with 50 team members. We play in that same typical space with government, healthcare, education, critical infrastructure, stadiums, industrial, commercial office, enterprise level solutions.
So as we talk about the supply chain, how has it impacted your business? What are some things you're doing to deal with it and contend with it? I imagine that you're substituting some products when you can. Is it also causing you to maybe reevaluate some technologies? Because, as Dave mentioned, some stuff that was in the pipeline that was delayed from when the pandemic came on to maybe now it's a go, that could be 2 years. So are you changing technology in some circumstances that may have been specified for a particular job because technology keeps moving, and also because of the supply chain? So let's jump in with John on the supply chain.
Well, in March of 2020, when things were uncertain, what was going to happen, we put some controls into place in regards to how we were ordering, how we were procuring products, how we were staging things. We were quite honestly concerned about cash flow. If customers were going to not allow us to come into their offices to finish projects, we didn't know how that was going to impact us. So we put control measures in place and kind of locked that down tighter than ever before, so that we were staging projects, just-in-time inventory. We'd always done some of those things, but we probably weren't as efficient about it as we should have been. So today, we have continued those processes and techniques in regards to ordering and bringing things just in time. Now, the challenges around supply chain management, when you start talking about card readers, for instance, we secure a job, maybe it's got 20 card readers or 20 access doors on it, 20 card readers, if you will. We're working, just like all of our partners, I'm confident, we're working to try to bring that product together into our warehouse at the same time. Well, when you talk about an 8-week lead time on card readers or greater, depending on what it is, that's been challenging for our procurement people. They're working to say, okay, well, I'm not going to order cable for this job until four or 5 weeks in, when I know that my lead time on card readers is 8 weeks or something like that in that example. Well, the next thing that happens, they do that, but then the wire comes earlier than what was forecast, and let's say it comes in 10 days earlier than what we were expecting. Well, it starts to to mess with the entire schedule, if you will. So that's been somewhat challenging. We've even gone back to customers to make sure that they understand that, okay, and before we start the jobs, as the product hits our dock, we're either going to deliver it or we're going to warehouse it for you, but we're going to ask that you pay for it. Again, we had processes in place to do that, but we have been a lot more aggressive with it than ever before. And finally, we have changed technology a little bit in regards to card readers in particular, and looking for different alternatives, Scott, to bridge the gap, because customers are getting tired of just hearing that, it's going to be another 6-7 weeks, and that's just part of supply chain management. So we've got to be as creative as possible.
Has it influenced you changing pricing at all?
Yes, absolutely. There's pressure on the bottom line. There's pressure on wages. So yes, we're increasing pricing. We're watching the validation dates on quotations very closely, and we're telling customers right up front, we're not sure if we can hold this. We want to be fair. We want to be your partner. And many of these customers have been with us 10, 15, and in some cases over 30 years. So we're going to treat them like we treat our employees, as professionally and capably as we can, but we can only absorb so much.
Craig, let's go to you next.
We've tried to engage our bigger customers to think ahead as far as they possibly can. We've tried to get them to initially, early on, put in some kind of 6-month, 9-month thought into some of their projects so that they could order some of that material up front. And now as those projects are starting to come, we are ordering the product for those materials and trying to resupply so that we can stay ahead of the game a little bit. Doesn't always work. Some large customers who have specific products that they use, especially on cameras, if those cameras are no longer available, they are putting in second, third best options, knowing that as soon as the supply chain comes back around, they will have to go in and pull those out and put them in. Mostly for cybersecurity reasons is why they've chosen their number one selection. So it's for at least the last year and a half, we've tried to have as much conversation ahead of time as we possibly can, even on a construction project, trying to clear people to understand product lead times. What they are today could be something completely different in a week or two. And so the more they can allow us to order that material, get it in front of them for payment, the sooner we can actually help them be successful. And so far, we've maintained. It's not always been comfortable, but we haven't fallen prey to it yet. But I think the next couple months are going to be the most critical, right? I think most of us realize supply chain issues are going to continue throughout this year. Hopefully it starts to ease a little bit, but it's been an issue.
Is it an issue for repairs and upgrades as well as, new projects?
Yeah, especially because we can't really stock, right? We've got a range of customers and they all use something different. Most of our customers have an opinion about what product they want to use. So it's not Netronics dictating, what products we wanted to necessarily sell to them. And that makes it that much harder because I can, have 2 or 3 cameras that are specific to just one end user. So it makes it very hard to throw on a shelf to have our own stock. But luckily, a lot of those end users, if having a camera is the most important piece, we can usually find another brand, another make, another model to fill the gap. It may not be their ideal make and model, but sometimes it's the difference of having something versus waiting 3 or 4 months for the right thing to come in.
Have you found that some vendors just seem to be better prepared for this scenario, or that it's the ones that maybe had just stock lying around because they weren't doing as well before that have some now to sell?
Yeah, but no matter especially the distributors, no matter who they were or how big they were, they got eaten up pretty quickly. And I think there were some large customers who were going above and beyond what they should have been trying to put as a fair stock. And I think a lot of those distributors saw through that. Distributors and or manufacturers saw through that and really tried to put a stop on it so that a couple companies couldn't own the entire market. So it's gone on long enough that no matter how big a stock you had, you would have eaten it up by now.
Thank you. Barry, what about you guys?
Yeah. Wow. I mean, supply chain, I thought it was interesting here recently. We had a fairly substantial project. I don't know, it was 400 liters or something. And the only reason why we're going to be able to fulfill in time is because it was for critical infrastructure, and I thought that was interesting. They literally were this is HID that we're talking about here, because of the fact that they were infrastructure. It's water, power, gas of a major city. And they got, in front of the line, as well as one of our large healthcare opportunities. I thought that was interesting along that front. One thing I'd like to mention, Scott, about SecurityNet. We have you're talking to partners here, the owners of the company that meet regularly. We have our subnet groups, which are SalesNet, TechNet, OpsNet for those guys. Because of this, we just formed SourceNet, which is basically our purchasing directors, managers, for them to be able to have a forum to because that's where it's strength in numbers, and that's where one of the values of SecurityNet that we bring is collectively 15, 16, 17, now 18 members, all pulling our information together in gathering, and because everybody's facing something different across the country. I also think we're getting hammered for, I guess, a Vigilon alone is going to be up over 10%, and I think John made a good point about you have to be very diligent with your customers, and they're partners and they're not customers of ours, and you constantly have got to be going and, hey, are you guys even remotely considering this project in the summer? Here's the reality, and so we're having to speed timelines up. We're having to have the hard, open conversations with them. Sometimes we have to bring in an HID and let them have that conversation on behalf of us, and I think there's value there, but we're all in the same boat together. I think I know it's our biggest hurdle of this year. Here we are, in a growth space, and this year, we're not going to grow. The only reason what's going to keep us from that is just this. I mean, it's going to be the supply chain, and I hope, like Craig said, it tapers off, this year, but who knows? The unknown is just killing us.
Barry, to what extent do you have to coach up the salespeople to make sure that they're giving, realistic expectations to the end users?
Scott, we have sales meetings weekly. And I don't think there's been one over the last 6 months where we haven't had coaching moments about specifics and whether it's readers or cards or panels, whatever it is, price increases, all of the above. It's constant. We have to constantly do that.
Thank you. Bill?
I think we have been really fortunate as an industry. For many, many years, we've been able to run on just-in-time inventory. You could get just about anything, unless it was custom, in 48 or 72 hours. And so all of a sudden, we've all had to react. So we have certainly had to stock certain items, but as Craig said, yeah, you start to go down that path, you're going to be in trouble because you'll have the wrong places, the wrong items. And then the technology is changing real quickly, right? So you can't be stocking something because 6 months later, it could be out. One of the things, though, that's very interesting is the clients are starting to talk more about open standards. We've always talked about open standards with our clients. And what's happened is in some places, people are getting caught with there is only one supplier that can give them a specific product. And I think they're starting to pivot and say, is that a long-term strategy for us? Should we really start to consider things differently? But we're all having to adapt. And as I said, the early part of COVID, the problem was mobilization, demobilization based on COVID related stuff. Now we're dealing with that through the supply chain. So that's very disruptive.
Indeed. Dave, you started us on this road. Do you want to add anything else about the supply chain?
Sure. I'll just add kind of a few tidbits, and sorry for jumping the gun there, Scott, but right now where my brain is, it's supply chain as it relates to COVID. Maybe I would say a few things that I haven't quite heard yet is really the saving grace to our industry is that it is industry wide. And I think it's what has allowed our sales teams to accept the coaching that they're going to have an uncomfortable conversation with their customer, because in reality, the customer can't go down the street, get a different answer. So we have had a few customers over the last few months who have said, well, I can't believe that that's the lead time you're giving me. Cancel my order. And we've said, up to you, but we totally understand. And we've not canceled their order behind the scenes. And then they call back about 4 hours later and said, can I get that order back again? Because they realize that this challenge is just that pervasive. But I got to say, the thing that has kind of been the most frustrating from our perspective, which is an organization that's responsible for delivering a solution to a customer, is the unpredictability. The supply chain that we've been dealing with for the last 12 months has been the most unpredictable that I've ever seen in my entire career. And it's one thing to be delayed. I can deal with a delayed supply chain. It's going to take 8 weeks instead of 4. We can plan around that. But what we've experienced has been in 8 weeks, it's another 8 weeks. Or then in 8 weeks and it comes in 4. So the unpredictability of the manufacturing community and the distribution community to deliver the goods in a organized and known timeframe has been very surprising. And Bill just hit on this. It's really impacted our ability to be efficient, right? So if we have 95% of the products, do we hold performing the installation until we receive the other 5, or do we go get 95% of the job done and go back when we have the other 5% of stuff? And I think what's starting to happen now, because I don't think we have a job in the back right now that doesn't have a part or two that's being impacted, is we're starting to fulfill projects to that 95% level because that's all we can do. And that just obviously makes us a little bit less efficient, and certainly is not what the customer really wants us to do. And it's been wild. And so you kind of couple all of this on top of, gosh, some manufacturers increased their prices 3 and 4 times last year. And I couldn't, and some of the most egregious price increases were for manufacturers that couldn't deliver the products. I said, if you're going to raise my price, at least send me the stuff, So it's been a phenomenally chaotic, really, environment that, unfortunately, I share some of the other thoughts that have already been referenced, is that we're not out of the woods or out of the weeds here as it relates to the supply chain, which is what it is.
Thank you. Roy, do you want to wrap up our supply chain discussion?
Certainly, just kind of hitting back on everything else everyone said. It's kind of this domino effect that's kind of affecting labor and everything else, as Dave was just hitting on. Sending people, mobilizing them, sending them to a job to finish it to 95%, having to come back multiple times. It's not efficient. So obviously our cost of labors are going up. There's all the great migration, if you want to call it that, people leaving companies, things like that make it extremely difficult. You might want to hit on that as well. But we've had to do some things like combine orders. We do a lot of bid to spec projects that typically are 12 to 24 months in duration. So essentially, we've planned on fulfilling a project at a certain price, and as everyone's kind of alluded to, we've had multiple increases since those times, sometimes 3 or 4 or 5 times. So we've had to actually combine orders, 10, 15 projects together to get a better discount level from certain suppliers. But then they have to send it all at once. So I've got to go prepare my customer, say, hey, are you willing to pay for this product if it's going to sit in our bonded insured warehouse if I order it now? 99% of the time they're saying, yes, absolutely. We know what's going on. Go ahead and get the equipment. Let's get it in the warehouse. We'll pay you for it as soon as it arrives. All we need is proof of delivery. So that's been pretty good. It's been rather difficult, as everybody else has said, but being in a group like SecurityNet has actually been very helpful. Every week I see emails going around between everybody on the SecurityNet sites looking for product. Hey, I need 10 of these. I need 5 of those. Can anybody help me out? Please, any assistance you can provide, because obviously sometimes we have emergency projects. You have things that just have to get done. And we've been very good at teamwork to get those projects done. If I happen to have something on the shelf, I'm not going to need it for a couple of weeks. Sure. Craig, you can have it, get it to me, just replace it when you get yours in. So just working together.
Yeah. Thank you for that. As I'm listening to everybody, I'm wondering that, big picture, you go through something like a pandemic and now the supply chain issue. Has it caused you to rethink or recalibrate at all your mix in terms of services versus product sales? Are you more emphasizing services to have that recurring revenue so it helps you get through possible, downturns in the market like a pandemic, a recession, whatever, and also, not to rely so much on new products, but if you have services, you can kind of keep the revenue flowing that way? Would somebody like to jump in that? I see like maybe Bill nodding his head a little bit.
Well, I'm not nodding my head saying, yes, we need to sell more services and service contracts. I think that this is bringing a lot of new conversations with the clients. So certainly we're seeing more, especially on the access control with managed opportunities with clients and other service, and other service contracts. But we're starting to wrap a lot of different pieces into that so that it's, so that it's really an end-to-end solution for the clients, including, full-blown engineering on an ongoing basis with them helping with their systems. But it's still, the project revenue still drives so much of the business. So we're trying to get that percentage, higher year over year so that, it covers, payroll and it makes us stickier with the clients.
Scott, I would just chime in real quickly because we've had a focus on recurring revenue and managed services really from the inception of our business. I don't think I'd say it's changed the way we've looked at that offering, but what I would add to maybe your question is most of those services are predicated around something we install for the customer. So there is a very direct correlation to the hardware still that we have to be able to deliver to then service ongoing, whether it be via a monitoring contract or a managed service agreement for an access control solution or a health monitoring solution for a video surveillance or other IP security device. So all of our services are still predicated around installing some form of quote unquote system, which has
chicken or the egg security.
You got it, which has hardware, right? So that's it. It's hard to decouple them completely.
Before we part, I'll just throw out there, what is an opportunity you're looking at right now that you're most excited about, whether it's a certain type of product or service or vertical market, pick something and share it with the group if you would. So I'll start off with Barry.
One of the things that is kind of exciting to me, and maybe there's some RMR in it as well, is drone detection. We have we partnered with D-Drone. We've got a couple of their systems that we've deployed to some refineries and looking to do to some water treatment facilities, stadiums, universities. I think that is extremely unique. We had our one of the things that didn't get mentioned. This group meets quarterly. We meet at GSX. We meet at ISC West, and we'll have a winter and a summer meeting where we all get together. We were in Miami last month, and I'm sitting on the balcony, and there comes a drone 16 floors up, 20 feet away from me as I'm on the balcony on the phone with a camera looking right at me. I think drone detection is exciting to me. Something else new, because we're in Mississippi, a new vertical to us is cannabis, and it's exploding, and it's new and unique. I guess I kind of equate it to pharmaceutical / industrial / manufacturing. Seeing these facilities last week was very interesting. Those are a couple of things to me that are new and exciting.
When you mentioned drones, Barry, what about counter drone? Is that also something you're looking at, or no?
D-Drone is more, we want to detect and we want to find the operator, as far, if you're talking counter drones, as far as bringing that bird down, absolutely. I just think it's kind of, it's new and it's cutting edge, and there's going to be more and more. As I was sitting there on the balcony thinking, that doesn't need to be going up and down. I'm visiting colleges right now with my daughter. That doesn't even need to be going down, looking up and down dorms, and I think there is, or flying over top of a football stadium, with 100,000 people, or a water supply, those are all things that, the why, what we do is to keep people safe and secure. And I think that's a threat. And absolutely, counter drone technology is definitely something we're going to be looking more and more into.
Very good. Thank you. Craig, what about you?
I think the entire security industry is getting ready to change technology, right? It's been 20 years of pretty static. Nothing's changed since IP videos really come around. What I'm most excited about, I think, is AI and machine learning and all the data that's going to come of that. I've actually been lucky enough to be on a couple advisory boards for some manufacturers, and talking about just the data of some sensors that have traditionally been contact closures. There is so much more that we can be gleaning from those sensors if they can provide, motion or sense of direction, size, all kinds of other things, right? Maybe a motion detector is more of a camera without a video, so that you can get all the video analytics out of that and into the data and be able to share that with other business applications. It is going to be a much bigger change in the next 10 years than what the .com kind of stage was with all the IP video and video analytics. So there's a lot of exciting things just about to come out. So it's nice. It's nice to have a refresh. One, it does help our business when there's refresh, but and the good part is those refreshes are starting to happen faster and faster.
Bill, you want to jump in?
I got to tell you, Craig just jumped on my favorite topic, which is big data and how all that is playing out. I like to say that, we were, IoT before it even had a name in this industry, and we've got sensors everywhere. And what we're always looking for is we're trying to look beyond security for our clients, right? We're trying to say, okay, you've got all the security infrastructure. Can you use it to help your organization? One of the things that we're really starting to see is the data coming out of access control systems, and specifically, different types of audit information is great. And between that and the metadata coming out of the camera systems, we're moving from an analytics world to an AI world. An AI world means we're not sure what's going to come out of that big data lake. But we know that there's tremendous value there. And so I do think that's what we have to be tuned into. And, a lot of the clients aren't quite ready for it until we start to articulate the value that we can bring. And so I think there's going to be more and more awareness with all of this.
Roy? Big data, yeah. Roy, what do you got?
I think this convergence of technology, the Internet of Things, everybody's kind of hitting on it a little bit, but also this is one time in history, I think, where the residential market is actually influencing the commercial market, especially on the, hosted solutions. So access control or video as a service, everybody has a Ring camera at their house. It's very simple. The interface is great. It alerts you when somebody comes up. You've got your Nest thermostat that completely, you can change the temperature or whatever you want to do. I think all of those technologies coming together, and once all of these things can communicate together, everyone now has a smart network in their house where their Alexa talks to their TV and can turn on the lights and do all of this other stuff. I think that same ease of use is now going to be migrating into the commercial market, because that's what people's expectations are changing. Our traditional system is obviously, very sophisticated, very computer-based, computer-oriented. Now I think people are going to be more app-based and things like that. So it's going to change the face of the market a little bit.
Dave, what opportunity on the technology service side of things are you real excited about?
The class clown in me wants to say any product I can get my hands on, right? But yeah, some very good answers thus far, and so trying to come up with a unique answer. I tell you what I've always told folks that we do is that we use technology to solve our customers' problems. And so what excites me about the future is we've got a whole host of new problems or new challenges that we've got to try to solve. So whether it be trying to figure out how our customers leverage their office spaces differently and what technology we can deploy to help them do that, or trying to figure out how to prepare our customers for the next global supply chain challenge. Maybe we go to a digital credential as opposed to a physical credential that doesn't have to be made. But all of these new challenges that are going to come to light as we migrate out of this pandemic and start to live again. I'm pumped to be able to have the technology at my fingertips to try to figure out how to help our customers. And some of that technology doesn't exist yet, but some of it certainly does. And that's what I think has always made me excited about our industry in general, is you got to use your brain. And I think that's a good thing. So I'm looking forward to that.
As that technology continues to evolve, are you increasingly concerned about the cybersecurity part of it?
Well, that certainly goes without saying that becomes more and more relevant, not only from our perspective, Scott, but from our customers' perspective. So it's something that we are, as an industry, we have always been security conscious, but it's been much more so on the physical side. So migrating into that digital security front, whether it be partnering with someone, partnering with our customers, or being much more conscientious of that arena is paramount. Absolutely.
It was almost rhetorical, but yeah, good to hear your take on it. John, what opportunity on the technology service or market side of things has you excited right now?
Well, Scott, this is not new, but unfortunately, there's so much pressure on law enforcement in the United States today that behavioral health is a huge issue that we have to, as a society, address differently from the healthcare perspective. Traditional law enforcement responding to a call, and it may not just be a crime reaction, if you will, and that may not be the right choice of words, but perhaps it's someone that's in a behavioral health crisis. And who's going to go with those law enforcement officers? The long and the short of that, healthcare facilities are going to have to deal with more and more behavioral health patients. And as a security industry, as a security integrator, we see those applications. We work in that arena now, but that product needs to be updated. It needs to have a real strong software base. It's pretty mechanical, if you will. It's kind of archaic, but I think, just my opinion, that has to improve greatly based on what's going on in our world, if you will.
Thank you for that. And thank you, everybody, for all your great sharing and ideas and bringing that security net sharing energy to this session. I appreciate that. And does anyone want to chime in with any final thought before we disconnect here? Any last security net plug?
Can I just say, Scott, that as the longest running security net member, as we're 30 years old, that is a testament to the people of our industry, to the organizations, to our companies of respect, working together, respect for geography, everything that we do within our companies. And yes, guys and gals come and go within SecurityNet, but it's because of a change in their companies. It's not because we wanted them to go. So that's really what's allowed us to be, along with companies like Eclipse, who have served SecurityNet for 10, 15 years. I think it's 15 years now. But to get our word out, our message, because we are bigger than what we truly are as one, as a whole. We're big corporation.